They're here to make a dollar. I'm here to make a difference. Don't get into it today. There will be many lessons. I hope you all have your notepad and take these lessons to heart. When I first came into the YouTube space, I was one of the few people who used my true name, Marquette Devon Burton, for there is no dirt on that name. That name is pristine the world over.
Send that to me. That's a bar. It doesn't sound like a bar, but it is. It's chock full of truth. Have you not read my book, The Black Box? I highly recommend it. Track my life. Figure out how much experience I had to get and how much struggle, how many businesses I had to build and fail to be able to be here and talk to you and explain things with wisdom. The wisdom of experience, not the guesses of you.
Please do rewind the script and let us take a listen at this theater at play.
Not the information that you get from Google, but those things you can only know from having lived and done things in this world, failed at things. And I can tell the difference between someone like me who's really done business, whether it was successful or unsuccessful, and the masses on the internet who basically just speak about that which they know not. I don't mind being late because I was pursuing my dreams. That's a beautiful statement to be able to make. And it's true. You dig?
Here we go. Welcome to my life, by the way. Welcome to my life, ladies and saints. I'm about to share a bit of my life with you. And as we are all human beings, sometimes bits of my life will become bits of your life, which is to say that we may share a common path. So pay attention, for there are many, many lessons.
I could sit here and tell you guys the truth of everything and people will still be broke. You feel me?
Are you guys ready to open your eyes? Or will you remain in a slumber? That's how we landed here. That's how we landed here. You're sleeping. If you seek the truth, you may find comfort. If you seek comfort, you will never find the truth. If you seek the truth, you may find comfort, but you also may find great discomfort. Sometimes the truth is extremely uncomfortable. As I said, I'm the conscience of the internet.
Anyways, let's go ahead and get to this news. Breaking news.
I highly encourage you to get this book, The Black Box. This is maybe the best 10 or 12 or 13 bucks you'll ever spend. And I'll tell you why. This is a true story that I wrote myself. It took more than 10 years to do it, and I wrote it for you. I wrote this while I was running a tech company with offices around the world. And the most important thing I want you to understand is, if you track through my whole life, you don't have to believe what I say. Watch what I have done. Don't believe what I say. I encourage you. Be suspicious. Don't believe what I say. Watch what I have done. Marquette Devon Burton grew up in a ghetto. Mother on crack cocaine. Father in prison. Left school when I was age 16. Tested out. Got a nearly perfect score on the SAT. Went into the University of California, Berkeley as a junior at age 18. Finished a degree. Oh, by the way, I started a fraternity, which is the largest fraternity on campus, by the way. Then went to Johns Hopkins University, took a master's full time while working full time as a teacher in Baltimore, Maryland, and some of the worst schools in the country, the schools that The Wire fourth season was based on, helping young Black kids and young Latino kids who are in one of the worst ghettos. How do I know? After that, I worked for the mayor of Baltimore, and I used to get data on the city, 10% of the population on heroin. During my time there, I founded a nonprofit called Five Fingers. It helped Black families in Baltimore, Maryland. It gave the kids gainful skills that would lead to gainful employment. It also taught character in the areas of health, wealth, relationships. You see where I get that from? Then what? I was recruited to run a nonprofit at Johns Hopkins Medical. Why? Because I had demonstrated merit and success. Then I brought in some of the biggest donations they had ever had and provided wraparound services, again, to Black families in Baltimore. Life-changing stuff, my dear boy. Then after that, I was recruited to work for a tech company, fast growth startup. I managed the whole state of Oregon, the whole state of Washington, and then Northern California. I was based in Silicon Valley and San Francisco. Did fantastically well, learned a lot. Then I started my own tech company, moved down to Hollywood. And by the way, there's a lot of gorgeous women mixed throughout the story that I won't mention. Started a company, and the rest is history. My life is legend. It really is. And it's a true story. I don't have to pretend. The way I've lived life is extraordinary. I don't have to add extras. But so I hope that answers your question. Oh yeah, let me get to the rest of it. So that's on how do you trust. He writes, I heard people, you haven't heard anything. That's a lie. You're an internet person. You've not heard a thing. You've seen a comment, you've seen someone typing in a live chat, you observed someone hating, you've not heard a thing. That's false. Anyways, he says, I heard people. Who are people? We don't need to speak in generality. We're intelligent people. We can name names. So we don't need to say people. Here's the problem. The reason you have to say people is because anyone who would speak against me is a stranger, and they are often anonymous. And you ought not trust people who hide their face. Think about it. Who hides their face? Bank robbers, people who take advantage of women. Those are the people who hide their face and wear masks. Normal, respectable men don't wear masks. So you're basically saying I've seen anonymous persons wearing masks hating on you, Marquette. Of course, it makes perfect sense. The wicked always do such. You think Martin Luther King, the guy who said, can't we all get, I'll have a dream, great orator, positive, spread love. He's a preacher, all about Jesus. Boom, bullet in the back of the head. You think that they're going to let me slide? They didn't let Martin Luther King slide. Jesus didn't slide. How am I going to slide? I'm no better than either of them at any level. You kidding me? Then he writes, I've been watching you for a while now, bro. I'm a huge fan. Maybe a fan, but not a follower, maybe. Not a follower of the ism, because number one, I consistently encourage people to use the best in communication. That's why I put out the Master Communicator course, which you can get at Marquette Devon. And I encourage people to be respectful and polite. It will remove a lot of problems from your life, and it'll give you a lot of advantage. That's number one. Calling people bro is extremely disrespectful. And I specifically said, please don't call me bro. It makes you look stupid. It makes you look dumb. Okay. Now, the other part, I'm a huge fan. That's impossible. A huge fan. This can't be the first time I've heard of you. If you've been watching for a while and you're a huge fan, those two things are incompatible. He writes, all love, just asking. It's not all love. I for sure can tell that it's not all love because I'm a very experienced man. But I appreciate the support. I truly do. And I appreciate you asking your question. And the other piece, cult leader, I think this is very much so worth digging into. And I'd love to even do a whole live session on it, except every time I have a live session and I challenge the haters to come present their arguments, they never show up. It's always crickets. And so it's just a waste of my time. But let me address this. Cults are fascinating concepts. I've talked about it briefly, but number one, cults generally are religious organizations. You'll see consistently, I don't promote any religion. I praise all of the major monotheistic religions. I have great respect and reasonable knowledge of each of them. I encourage you, if you're a Muslim, if you're a Jew, if you're a Christian, to be a good Muslim, a good Jew, a good Christian. So I encourage you to go deeper and be more steadfast in your existing religions. So that is quite opposite of what cults are about. Cults are about being religions themselves. That's number one. Then number two, the cult leader generally thinks that he is God. I'm wildly imperfect, which is why I'm called the saint, and the sinner, which is to say flawed. Then the other piece about cults is the leader is always trying to aggrandize and enrich themselves, bring themselves more money. I came into the game pretty well off. People who have been watching me a long time, there's a live session when I was at one of my apartments and someone was talking crazy, pull out $250,000, just count it up for you. You dig? More importantly, I've sent out over $250,000 to people just like you. That's a true story. In fact, if you want to support some of the saints right this very moment, you can go to thesassin.com, THESASN.com, click products. Most of those products are by you guys, not by me. And where does the money go when you buy? It goes to people like you, not me. Why would I give away hundreds of thousands of dollars that can go into my pocket? That doesn't make any sense. By the way, check out Brandon Valera. Good brother. He has a floral print shirt. It's a short sleeve, perfect for the summer. Highly recommend it. If you don't have your boxing gloves, get your boxing gloves. By the way, you need a mouthpiece. Get Mr. Chapman's mouthpiece. I think he has like 25 left. Highly recommend it. So the cult leader wants to enrich himself. He wants to aggrandize himself. I've also created a hierarchy in different sections of the country. Cult leaders, they actually try to go into seclusion and bring everyone with them. Well, everyone has their sections where they are. And more importantly, they have hierarchy. So there's an executive in each region, which means that person has the power in that region. They don't sit in that region talking about, well, what does Marquette think? What did Marquette do? No, I encourage them to be entrepreneurial, to create. So those are some of the major tenets of cult. And also cults are circled around eventually the Looney Tune leader. Why people are fearing them is because sometimes it ends in violence, like in the case of Charles Manson, or what's the other dude that went down to Guyana? I can't remember his name right now, but Oppositely, I encourage health. I encourage you to exercise every single day. So none of the tenets actually fit. And here's the last piece on cults. And this is important. It's a thought journey for you. The government conditions you to be afraid of cults. And some of them are legitimately dangerous. Others are completely harmless. I don't recommend them. But the reason that the government hates cults or any strong institution where people have values and beliefs is because it's a rival. And the American government is nothing more than a mafia. It is a violent mafia that extorts you for money. They call it taxes. And if you don't play their game, then they will use violence on you. They do not want any competitors. That is why they use statutes like the RICO law to punish organized crime. Now, think about it. Why is it that you punish people who are organized and thoughtful about what they do harder than you punish people who are irrational and a little bit more unpredictable and dangerous in what they do? Well, organization makes you closer to that which the government is, which is organized crime. They don't want competition. Now, I hope that you have at least a basic understanding that forwards things just a touch more. And further, I want you to ask yourself this. For all the claims that you might hear in these goofy documentaries, and look at who's creating these documentaries. You see these documentaries are put on by low IQ, unaccomplished, unattractive, silly black people. And it's sad because, and this is why I say, assassin or nothing. I don't identify based on the color of my skin. I identify based on shared values, because there's a lot of goofy blacks that would, do harm to me. It happens that there's a significant portion of black folks in the assassin. They're good people, and that's because of their values, not their skin color. But you have to ask yourself, how is it possible that if Marquette is not as authentic and as A1 as he says he is, how is it that his multimillionaire investors, guys who have hundreds of millions of dollars, how is it that venture capital firms that invest millions and millions of dollars, and they have specific analysts that do something called due diligence, how is it that not one of those persons was able to look at Marquette and find anything wrong with him or any of his businesses? How's that possible? We had to wait for some dusty black guy who's illiterate and uneducated on the internet to find the falsehood in Marquette. What kind of sense does that make? It doesn't make any sense. So the only person who would believe any of that stuff is someone who already has hatred in their heart. No reasonable person would believe that. You can look at me from a mile away, and you can tell from my tonation, my articulation, my style of dress, my body carriage, my strong eye contact, my book called The Black Box, that everything about me is A1, and it's been that way from day one. Any other questions I can answer for anyone? I'm an open book. I have nothing at all to hide. And when I came into this game, I always told people that the difference is I use my true name, Marquette Devon Burton, because it's a name that has no smut on it. It's a name that I've worked hard to make a great name, and you shall respect it. Seek greater meaning. There's so many of these clowns on the internet that are talking about, I want to be a millionaire. I'll teach you how to be a millionaire. Or I'm going to be a billionaire. It's like, getting money is fantastic. I highly recommend it, but that's not the measure of a man or of anything. So sometimes you go brain dead watching life, forgetting to live life. What I mean is that you should be asking yourself, am I watching life right now, or am I living life? And every time you should be trying to live life.
Ladies and saints, let us end this with our tradition.
Repeat after me with full conviction, knowing this is true of you. The creed of the assassin.
I am going to be who I truly am.
Because I am remarkable.
And I'm going to strive every moment to show the greatest part, show the greatest part, to show the greatest part
Of who I am.
Until next time, it has truly been a pleasure.